Welcome to Damsels in Dialogue, a podcast dedicated to female protagonists in fiction, film, and the stage. Co-hosted by Katie Zutter
and India Marie Paul. As a special treat for our inaugural season, we are hosting a March Madness style tournament where we place 33 Disney and Pixar animated heroines in a bracket to see who will be crowned the queen of the heroines. Brackets available on our website and social media.
Today, we kick off our tournament to see who on our left half of the bracket makes it through round one. This round, we put the characters' development and storytelling to the test as we see which heroine's story gives them depth and agency in their own tales. This is Maiden Madness. We are starting.
I'm so excited.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you go. You do it. Do it.
Starting the Maiden Madness 2021. Woo! If you guys enjoy this, we'd love to do this again. I think this is really fun with different characters and different themes. But as we said earlier, we're going to start with the left side of our bracket. India, do you want to explain the Elenwe and Colette before we jump into the official bracket?
Yes. So we came up with 33 animated heroines. We made sure they were human or humanoid, that they were in the original movie rather than sequels. And we had just one more than we needed for the 32. So we have a playoff game in our bracket between Elenwe from The Black Cauldron and Colette from Ratatouille. And so for this round and for this score as well, we're going to be going through the character development. We developed a rubric, and we'd love to know if you think that we need to add things to this, because it's always fun. That kind of follows through the character development and the creative storytelling that happened. So some of the categories that we score from 1 to 5 on each character include that the character has goals that define the narrative arc, that the character has flaws, and it can be interpreted in lots of ways, but that there's a depth to them. If they're intelligent, if they have agency and voice in their story, or if they're a side character, if they still have agency and voice in the story, if their decisions affect the story, if they stand up for themselves, if they do not exist to solely be a love interest or object. That can kill some of these characters, sadly. If they have changed or learned something by the end so that there's growth in it, they don't just stay the same. The relevance to today, did their character or story age really well through today's eyes? And then the final 1 to 5 is, do they have supportive or feminist male characters? And that adds a lot of points to, I think, a lot of the newer ones, because there's some...
Yeah. And something that really interested me that we added to it, that these made or broke some of the characters. Where's my brain today, guys?
It's all good.
It's all numbers. It's 1 to 5 math today. Okay.
Too much math.
But some things that we added as more of arbitrary pluses or minuses that do really affect some of these characters on all sides of the spectrum, from the older movies to the newer ones, are if it passes the Bechdel test specifically with that character, they get an automatic +5. If that character has female friendship or sisterhood, +2. A positive parent relationship. Ooh, Disney, we coming for you.
Yeah, that one hits a lot.
They get a +2. If there's women-to-women cruelty, -2. And if the love interest is problematic or toxic, -2. So yeah, those I found to be the most interesting of this rubric. Oh my gosh, my brain just stopped working. Once again, numbers 1 to 5, that's all it's been thinking. But I found that very interesting, because a lot of those more arbitrary pluses or minuses swung some characters vastly. There's
a lot that were really close, and those we had a lot of long talks while we were creating this of what is not only a feminist positive story and what is a well-developed character and all of that. So I'm sure we missed some fun things, but this is our rubric that we're using for round 1 of Maiden Madness, so that you know where these numbers are coming from. Yes. So as we go forward, we'll be giving our numbers and talking a little bit about the characters and what we found out. So our first one is our playoff round with Elenwe, which I love that name. Really hard when I looked at it to learn how to pronounce it, but it's
no, I couldn't. I had to watch a movie to figure it out.
It's been a while since I watched Black Cauldron.
I don't know if I'd ever watched it. I remember bits and pieces of the movie, but if I watched it, it was a really long time ago, because it was cute though. It was cute. I was very pleasantly surprised.
I was pleasantly surprised because I remember it being really dark and maybe watching it once as a kid.
Yes.
So let's see. I had for her character development a total of 17.
Ooh. You were harsher than me, but not by much. Not by much. I only gave her a 20.
Okay.
She's very, very sweet.
She didn't have much of a chance. Yeah, she didn't have any big fives. She didn't have a big chance to really show herself, or it was really kind of the arc of the main boy. I was really impressed at the fact that she comes in and is like, "I'm leaving. Are you coming?" To save herself.
Very cute and fun. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I really enjoyed that. And they had a cute romance and things, but she ended up only with the 17 for me. It wasn't really her movie, but I did appreciate her presence in the film.
Yes, agreed.
Which was lovely. And then for Colette, I gave her a 27 for character development.
I gave her a 32.
Ooh. What were her top ones for you? I have stood up for herself was big for me.
Oh, yeah. She stood up that's her whole thing. She stood up for herself. Absolutely. She got a 5 out of 5 for me. I also gave her high marks, and everything else was pretty low. Everything else was quite low. Just because she's a side character, that's not her fault. Yeah. The only other high marks she got was she has learned something by the end, learns quite a bit from Remy, and essentially throws her career away. Like almost to do that. That was I was impressed with her, especially from the beginning when you meet her and she is so brash and so I got here because I worked my ass off, and we're like, yes, we appreciate you, Colette. Yeah. So I did appreciate that she learned something by the end. She scored better than average. And then relevance today, I thought she was very relevant today because she is that go-getting. You tell me not to do something in a man's world. You tell me and I will prove you wrong. You know.
Yeah, she's a woman working in a man's world. Yeah,
she scored very well in those. Everything else, though, like I said, she's a side character.
Yeah.
Just didn't do a whole ton in the rest of that. But those 3 she scored well. So yeah, 32 for me. So it sounds like for both of us.
Yeah, sorry, Ellen.
Colette has moved on.
Yes. She moves on. She passes our wild card round. Unfortunately, neither
to be paired with Anna.
Yeah. Oh, that's so mean of me. I tried to put like the heavy hitters not against each other in round 1, and it was really random. So sorry, Colette. Now you have to go against Anna.
It's all right. I don't mind it because Colette, I think, did really well for what she was given. I think she's a very strong character for being a side character. But I don't think overall in this competition she would have made it too much farther. So like I do feel bad for her, but
we love you, Colette.
I don't think she would have gone that much farther anyway. Yeah. So for Anna, storytelling development, 46 by Colette.
I had a 50. I gave her a 50.
Goodbye, Colette.
Yeah, that's not really a fair competition.
I mean, Anna is one of the main characters. Yes. She is one of 2 main characters in the story.
It was written recently, so you have more of the guise of progressive eyes on it. You had a woman writing and directing it. Yes, so Anna's going to go, I think, decently far. I think she's a top contender in this.
I agree. So we have Anna officially our first character, heroine
in the Sweet 16.
Round 2.
But she scored high for pretty much everything. I think the lowest I gave her was changed or learned something by the end. I think she gained something by the end, but I gave her a 3 because she does learn
I gave
things.
Her even lower. I gave her a 2 for has changed or learned something. Fair. Just because something that I love about Anna is by the end of the movie, she's still the same person.
Yes.
And you love that for her because she is so good and sweet and so loving of others and everything that she didn't need to change to prove her worth, if that makes sense. So I did not mind giving her that 2 because in the end, Elsa's the one who needed to learn and grow. And in that first one, Anna didn't. Yeah. Anna would have saved Elsa in the first 5 minutes of the movie, same as she did in the end of the movie. And I'm fine with that. I am perfectly fine with giving her that 2 because I think that's very cool to make her such a great person that she doesn't need to grow as much in that first movie.
Yeah, it becomes more of a situation that hasn't been discussed. than her learning
yes.
or growing into a different person. I mean, she learns not to marry a guy right away. The love interest problematic.
That's why she got the 2, not the 1.
Yeah,
she learns to
something.
Take her time.
Yes, it does pass the Bechdel test,
Yep,
and it has female friendship and sisterhood. I had to give her a -1 for Hans for the toxic or problematic.
I just made it 0.
Yeah,
because I didn't give her the
balances it.
Yeah,
but
I just made it flat 0.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, Hans was incredibly toxic, and that was entirely her fault. She would have taken more than an afternoon to get to know him. She did very well.
That's why her intelligence for me was a 4 instead of a 5, because she made some mistakes in that.
Ooh. And even then, I gave her a 3. I thought she was, intelligence-wise, I gave her average. That's how I scored. 3s is what I gave as the average. Like, you are average show of certain things.
Didn't prove it wrong. Didn't have a chance to prove it either way, really.
Exactly.
So she's our first Sweet 16 contender.
Yes.
The next matchup, it hurts my heart so much because it's Tinkerbell and Merida. And I love Tinkerbell.
And Merida from Brave.
Yeah, yes. And I love Tinkerbell. But she did not score well for me because
it's tough. She's not the main character, and up against Merida, where her entire it's called Brave. Like the whole thing about she was the anti-princess.
Yeah, she was the first.
She was one of those anti-princesses.
Mm-hmm.
She was designed to be very heroic, and she spends a lot of this movie alone or with one other person. So it's tough. I'm Tinkerbell. I love you.
It hurt me. I tried to be as objective as possible. That's why we had to create a rubric, or she would have gone way too far.
It would have been so just like, but I really like this character. Yes. And no, we tried real hard to make this a true
Tinkerbell
rubric.
Got both negatives for me. She got woman-to-woman cruelty. And she has a toxic love interest because Peter Pan is the worst.
Same. Yeah.
It was rough. She ended up with a 24 for me.
Ooh, I gave her way higher. I think maybe I considered the Tinkerbell movies, which I probably shouldn't have because
she does better with that.
Ones.
Yeah.
Still has women-to-women cruelty.
Yeah, that's true.
In all of them. But I gave her a 38.
Ooh,
for me, she scored well in intelligence and standing up for herself.
She got a 5 for standing up for herself. She got a 1 for learned anything or changed. Because I don't think she changed or learned anything. I gave her a 1 for supportive male characters thinking about Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Thinking about Tinkerbell.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if you're right, I think I scored her too high because I was thinking about the other movies, which I shouldn't have because we made the precedent of it's the first movie. So that's on.
But you want to. That's how much you want to give her stuff, though. Like, because I love her sass.
It does.
So she's, as far as being a heroine and as far as like being a fully developed.
Yeah, it does nothing to that 44 Merida got.
I gave Merida 40. I think I was like attempting to not give her what I wanted that she deserves.
Well, what's crazy to me is I gave her 2 2s in this character development storytelling portion, but she got so many darn 5s because that's the whole point of the movie.
Yeah.
The whole point of the movie, she makes all the decisions.
She does. And all of her goals.
She stands up for herself. Yeah. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Like the goals, that's the whole thing. She does not exist to solely be an object or love. That's the whole point. She got so many 5s because that's like her.
Mm-hmm.
That's the movie.
Yeah. It was one of those where I have to be, because I'm not a huge fan of her as a character. But the creators and the storytelling was very specifically to make her the hero of her story. So I can't fight it. She got a 40 for me, and she moves on to the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm. She did get a positive parent relationship +2 for me because her and her dad's relationship is so strong.
That's true. Yeah.
But she also got a -2 because of how she treats her mom. So they canceled each other out. But I did give her the +2 for how great the dad is. The dad is a riot in a lot of ways, but he is very supportive of and excited for.
Yeah, I mean, he gives her the bow and arrow. He supports that about her. He supports her. So we have Anna and Merida.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
The redheads.
The redheads. That'll be fun. Oh, that'll be fun. Next up, we have Jasmine against the from Aladdin and the 3 fairies from Sleeping Beauty. And we could not find a way to not include them in this because of how
it sounds really
they
silly. It sounds so silly, but they are so involved in the story.
Yep.
The movie would not happen if they didn't exist.
It's very, very true. I was very surprised because we were trying to figure out a way to not include them because Aurora is Sleeping Beauty. But when you really think about it, their actions are the ones
they
that
do everything.
Move the story forward. We included Tinkerbell in this, so the fairy aspect is okay. They're not a side character, really, because they're
main characters.
They're awake for the whole movie, which is not a lot of people. It's her and the prince.
Have the most amount of lines.
Yeah, especially combined. We did combine them because I think to split them apart would have been a little too much. Yeah.
That would have been poor. The green fairy would just be like, doo-doo-doo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She would not have done well.
So for me, they got a 32 for me in storytelling.
Ooh, yeah. They got a 36 for me. So we were very close.
Yeah, I was. Very, and Jasmine close. Got a 26 for me.
We look at us, and I got a 30. So we both got real close.
That makes me so upset that the fairies because Jasmine doesn't pass the Bechdel test. If Jasmine had that would have boosted her up. She doesn't have female friendship.
Nope. She did break a lot of boundaries as far as a lot of people really liked her. They really liked that she was a princess who had an entirely different personality than the princesses before her and arguably very different than the princesses after her. She was very modern for that time. But like we've mentioned with other characters, she is one of the main characters, but she is not the main character. This movie is about Aladdin. It's very interesting, the 3 fairies, because they are that driving force.
They scored so high
of the story.
Yeah.
Has agency, voice in the story. They make all the decisions.
Yeah, they do.
The only decision they don't make is to curse her to begin with. And even then they fix it. Decisions that affect the story, same thing. Like 5 does not exist to be a love interest.
Yeah, that was a solid 5
because that's not.
They don't even have a love interest in the story.
No, they got 3 5s in the character development storytelling, and they passed the Bechdel test.
They passed the Bechdel test
multiple times, not even just with each other. Even the conversations they have, they talk to the king and queen. That they're not talking about a male. They talk to Aurora, not about a boy. I mean, they do also talk about a boy, but they pass the Bechdel test in multiple circumstances, much more than many of the other princesses and other characters.
We stretched to give some of them.
I was very surprised. Yeah, some of them needed to be stretched, whereas these guys confidently passed with flying colors, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
The fact that it passed the Bechdel test way better than some of even these very modern ones. I was like, wow.
And for people who aren't familiar with Bechdel test, the way we're using it is it's 2 female named characters that have a conversation that is not about a man.
The Bechdel test needed to be passed, including the character we were talking about.
Yes, that's what I did too. Like if they specifically passed it. Yeah.
So that was sad to do, but
that one hurt.
Yeah, it was tough. The storytelling with the fairies, they moved the whole thing, which is very old school fairy tale. It is very old school. The magic moves it along, the whimsy of that, making everything happen. But I'm sorry, Jasmine.
Yeah, she didn't have as much agency in the story. It wasn't about her. She was only in some of it. She does kind of exist to be the love interest and object of both Aladdin and Jafar.
She's, object for Jafar.
But love interest for Aladdin, because Aladdin's the one who grows and learns something. She doesn't really change. Yeah. Her situation changes. Yeah. But she doesn't. She learns
a little bit. Yeah. She learns to understand him. But even then, that's not the only 5 I gave her in the storytelling development is for stands up for herself. Because my goodness, this does will not bend an inch. And we love her for that.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to see her go because she was one of the first princesses that I saw growing up that was like, I am not an object to be won. Like, I am not a prize. Yeah. Like, that's a big statement.
Says that. That's a lie.
Yeah, that's a big statement for her to say.
But on a positive note, I did give her a +2 for positive parent relationship. I'm not sure if you did.
I didn't, but I should have.
Okay. The only reason I did is because I know he needs to marry her off. But in the rules of the kingdom, he very well could have just assigned her somebody.
Oh, yeah. He had the power to do that.
Right. You get the idea that he truly wants her to be happy. So this has been going on for a while. You get the idea that this has been months and months coming. He has tried his best to get multiple men to meet her so that she can pick. And he also, there's the moment where she's crying over Jafar has now killed her only friend she's ever made. And he's like putting his fingers through her hair and like consoling her and being like, how dare he? That was so mean. Like immediately on her side. Like, so I did give him he was a little buffoony at times, very character relief at times. But I thought he treated her very well for the circumstances.
And he did choose to change it at the end. He did. And he was being manipulated too. So
oh, right. Right. I think her and her father relationship is stronger than many of the other parental relationships that we see. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the three fairies.
Somehow.
The underdog surprise upset of the year. Move on to the Sweet 16. Laura, Fauna, and Merryweather.
Yep.
Every good rubric needs an underdog, and if it's these three fairies, I guess so.
The
wild card.
They were a wild card. We're like, we're going to put them in, and here we are. They have made it at least through round one. And to end the top half of our bracket, on the left, we have Cinderella and Kita. Where'd they end up for you?
Ooh, Cinderella and Kita overall actually did very similarly. Mm-hmm. And I think that is because Kita is much more heroic, but Cinderella is the main character. So I think that's where it evened out. So for Cinderella, for me, for character development storytelling, she got a 34. And whereas Kita, for character development storytelling, received a 35. So Kita squeaked by Cinderella. I think even though Cinderella is the main character, so a lot of the things she did push along just because she's the main character. Mm-hmm. However, because Cinderella has a lot of magic that assists her. Like she has a lot of things helping her, which is fine. That's part of her story, that she is so kind and she deserves the ending. Like you love that for her.
Yeah.
But she didn't push a lot of the stuff along. So even though she's the main character, she didn't push a lot. And even though Kita is not the main character, and in maybe half the movie, she has a little more agency in the story. So I think that's why they came to be so close in that. But Kita, for me, squeaked by.
Mine was a little bit bigger of a gap, and it might have been my love of Kita. But there might have been a little bit. She had 39 and I had Cinderella with 28. And Cinderella is a great character. She's very lovely. Something she scored really low on for me, flaws. She wasn't really given any. Like she was just the perfect princess, or like the perfect, graceful, kind, sweet. Yeah. It's not as if she didn't have a personality. She does, but as far as giving her more depth than just kind.
Right. The only flaws I could see is that she's 19. And in those standards, she's a grown adult.
Yeah.
She could have left at any time to be a maid, to be, and yes, her circumstance may not have changed a whole ton, but she wouldn't be in an abusive situation, you know? So I did give her a couple points for flaw, only because she chose to sit in her childhood home and be abused and manipulated by these people.
Yeah. And if she felt she could leave and all that. But that's also why she scored low for stands up for herself. Like that's also
agreed.
Something
she scored
didn't really
very low. That was the lowest score. That and supportive and feminist male characters were the lowest scores.
Yeah. And that really helped Kita, because there were some really great characters. Yes. I think I might have given her a 5, which might have been a little overzealous for me for supportive feminist male characters.
Oh no, I gave her a 5 too.
Okay, good. I thought it was maybe just me being. I mean, Milo is great, and the way Milo treats other women in it is really great.
And they all, as a community, there is no, just because you're a woman, you can't do these things. That's why I gave supportive male characters. None of the males in the story, or the females for that matter, none of them, gender doesn't matter. In this story.
It didn't at all. They were leaders. They were approximately about the same as far as managerial positions that we see of male and female.
So they got a 5 for me. Also, even though the father, Kita did not get a +2 to the relationship, only because her father, how he loves her, he kind of like gaslights her and lies to her for her entire life.
That's true.
Which for most people, most princesses, you're like, oh, like Rapunzel, you've been gaslit for like
your entire life.
17 years.
Yeah.
Kita's been gaslighted for hundreds of years. She's been gaslit.
Yeah, this is true.
So, like, sorry, you don't pass. But her father does not do that because she's a woman.
Yes, it's about his own.
So that's why
fear.
they still got to fight.
Yeah. I don't think she got any plus or minuses for me on that. Like she doesn't talk to other women. There are women who talk to each other, but she doesn't really get the Bechdel test pass.
No.
Yeah. No,
but she doesn't, she's not cruel to women. Nobody's cruel to her. Love interest is not problematic or toxic. Yeah. So those were just flat.
Yeah.
Which Cinderella did pass the Bechdel test. She passes the Bechdel test for flying colors. They talk all the damn time about things that don't have to deal with men, which is another reason why she did better, because she's in a house full of women. She is given the opportunity to have conversations. She's still got a -2 to women cruelty because they are so abusive to her. Yeah. But they had lots of conversations. They had lots of conversations that had to do with the prince as well, but also many that didn't have anything to do with men.
Yeah, you know what? I missed that. So she would be 33. So it's still way closer. It's only like by 6 points. Yep. Kita still wins. But they're a lot closer than I was expecting.
Yeah. Same. And Cinderella as a character, I really like her. I think she's a good role model in some ways to little kids, especially young kids, to be kind and thoughtful of others. And even, she's in such a terrible situation and she doesn't lose that kindness and that sweetness. So like I said, by the end, you're like, yes, Cinderella, you deserve that castle. Like,
But in turn, when you're teaching kids that someone's going to come help the situation rather than you actively doing something to fix it.
So for very young children, I think she's great. I think she's great. As she gets older, I think it's you need to stand up for yourself, which is why they slowly change things for when all the remakes, the live action and everything. They've changed that a lot. If we were doing the live action, Cinderella would score a lot better.
Yes, that's true. What was really hard about some of these is it doesn't take away the love or the importance of them in the Disney verse. It's just strictly analyzing how they were told, and a lot of them fall victim to being in a time period where it wasn't as progressive.
Yes.
Or that they weren't thinking about that for female characters. So, unfortunately,
and it
Cinderella...
make any of them bad.
No, not at all.
It doesn't make any of these characters bad. They're still very fun. I still see why many of them are very beloved. All those kind of thoughtful things. Yeah. But she's not a hero, and that's fine. That's fine. She doesn't need to be a hero.
Yeah. But it makes her.
But that's what we're talking about now.
But that's what we're doing. So sorry, Cinderella. Kita Kakash
so she doesn't pass.
Moves into the Sweet 16.
Kita is our 4th Sweet 16.
So that would we have Anna, Merida, Flora, Fauna, and Merriweather, and Kita. So that's who we have in that first bracket on the left side. And then we get to move on to our lower bracket, where we have Belle and Violet from Incredibles is Violet, and Belle obviously is from Beauty and the Beast.
And this is very interesting because they're from very different walks of life.
Yes.
But storytelling, they both did very well. I thought Violet did very well with storytelling. Violet got a 43 for storytelling for me. Yeah. And Belle, however, got a 51 because Violet has that working against her. She's not the main character. It's more of a group. It's more about Mr. Incredible. They are definitely main characters, but they are not the focus, they being the 2 kids. But she still did very well. I was very impressed. How did she do? How did the scores line up for you?
For me, she got a 37, so it was pretty close to where you ended up.
Still good. Still very good. Anything above like 35, I'm like, wow. Good job, guys.
Good job. And Belle got a 45 for me. I might have been harsher on her, but I was very impressed because I was fully expecting, because she was in the fairy tale story era. Yes. Or like one of those princesses.
She wouldn't do as well. Same. Yeah. I didn't think she would do as well.
But when you start looking through her stuff, she's extremely intelligent. She completely has voice in her story. She stands up for herself. Yep. All of her decisions affect the story.
She's very relevant to today. I think you could drop her in today's world and she would thrive.
She did pass the Bechdel test when we consider that Mrs. Potts and the wardrobe are women trapped in objects.
Yes.
So that's how we both went back and forth like, wait, she's talking to things, but they're people. So she does pass the Bechdel test.
Which is very interesting because Violet barely squeaks by the Bechdel test. So the only way that Violet passed... Now, the movie as a whole does pass the Bechdel test.
Yes.
The mother has a few conversations with people that it's mainly the mother who passes. Violet, if you are very nitpicky, there's only 2 conversations she has that passes. One of them that for sure passes, which is when Helen, the mother, leans back and screams at her to use her shields.
Yes.
You can do it, honey. Just do it. You have to. We have no other choice.
Yep.
You know, and Violet screaming back at her, I'm trying. I don't know if I can. And that was a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
But that is a very short conversation. And the only other one, which some people argued did or didn't pass, is that Helen and Violet have a conversation where Helen is talking about the brother. And she is saying, you know, Dash is the younger brother. You are the big sister. You know, and she is, overall, the conversation is about responsibility.
Yeah. But you're talking about a guy. Yeah.
So it does. So that one is iffy. So that one, she burly squeaks by. But she did get the positive parent relationship. Both of them did for me. Because I think Belle's father too. He is very confident in his daughter and is like, when she comes back, but people think you're strange. Well, as he's like being equally as strange. You know, he's very supportive of her and doesn't ever try to force her into a box. I really liked their friendship for some reason as a kid. I'm like, that's cool. But that's also good with The Incredibles. There's a very good family dynamic.
There is.
There. Yeah. What scored low for you for Belle and what scored low for you for Violet?
For Belle flaws was 3. The lowest Belle got was a 3 for me.
Same.
She never was teetering below that. Has changed or learned something by the end. She got a 3 because I don't. It's more of her situation changes or like things are exposed. Not that she as a person has learned something new.
I gave her a 3 only because she learns to. It's funny because she goes into it kind of with the view of how everybody else sees her. Yeah, she's like, you're different, so I don't need to. I'm not going to deal with you. But then learns to wait. Maybe he's just like me. But still, that deserved. I thought it was like 3. Yeah, it's like but you don't need more than that. You didn't like your whole personality didn't change, which is also fine because her personality is great.
She got 5s everywhere.
Same like Anna kind of thing. What about Violet for you?
For Violet, she got a 2 for the goals that define the narrative arc. Her goals weren't really about. Like, it was more about Mr. Incredible putting people into different, like, the situations and exposing them. Yes. Agency in the story, I gave her a 2 just because she was really a side character in it compared to her parents. So she... She becomes more important, but for the first half of the movie, it's really more about them and their journey in that relationship. And so those are the only 2s she got for me. Everything else, there's a lot of 3s because she wasn't given the chance to do a lot. Yes.
I agree. She was a lot of 3s, a lot of 3s or 5s. Something that just because, unfortunately, she does not pass. She will not pass on. Belle does win on both of our sheets. So Belle will move on. Something that I wanted to say that was really positive about her is I actually gave her a 5 for flaws because I thought her flaws were incredibly relatable.
That's true.
I thought they were done very, very well. Yeah. And I thought that kids now, obviously this is very new. This movie is much newer than than Beauty and the Beast and some of these others. But 5 out of 5 relevant to today. I think kids constantly are going through like the situations that she is going through. Her mental journey throughout the first movie, I think is great. So she had to get a 5 for flaws. I thought that was beautifully done.
It's hard to see her go, but she is a side character in it. So Belle's going to be a big contender in it
moves
too.
On. She is. I was very surprised. Not that I thought she would do bad, but I did not think that she would score as high as she did in all of these things.
I was pleasantly surprised.
She's somebody to watch.
Yeah. I'm very excited
especially for the age of the movie.
Yeah. Next, we have Esmeralda and Wendy, which are for such
Esmeralda
opposites.
From Hunchback and Wendy from Peter Pan.
They're just opposites. I don't know how they ended up
They are so opposites.
Oh, yeah.
But they are both side characters. So there is that. There is that going for both of them. They are both kind of the female love interests of the main characters. They are the side characters. So that is not a terrible pairing when you think of storytelling. Personality-wise, they are entirely different humans.
Yes, they are. The age gap is different, but it was closer than I thought. Esmeralda, I had as a 32.
Same.
What? Oh, I love it.
Exact same. 32 on the money.
I love that. And I had Wendy at a 24. I had Wendy as a 24.
What did you get for Wendy?
24.
Oh, I thought you said 34, and I was like, what?
Oh, no.
29.
Okay, nice. So
I
yours
gave her
was
a
way
29.
closer, yeah. It was an interesting one. Esmeralda scored very poorly on does not exist to solely be a love interest / object. And that's not her fault. That is just the purpose of her character in that movie.
Yeah. She also didn't really learn anything.
Yeah. She's just great. She didn't change.
Not everybody needs to become a different person by the end of the movie.
Yeah. It was about Quasi.
But it was, it's the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's not Esmeralda.
Didn't pass the Bechdel test. She did get a 4 for me for supportive / feminist male characters. And I'd argue maybe she deserves a 5.
She did for me too. Yeah. I gave her a 4. I didn't give her a 5 because the main villain treats
it's so bad. I couldn't quite
give it a 5 because and it's not just her. He's like everybody who is like, you're all trash to me.
Yeah. I couldn't quite give her that, but Quasi and Phoebus are both, I think, very feminist characters in their makeup. Yeah. I was very impressed with that.
I think, more than Quasi.
Yes.
Only because he's wrapped up in beauty and new and she's pretty kind of thing. He does grow a lot. Obviously, he's the main character.
Yes. He changes and learns stuff by the end of it.
Yeah.
Not so much with her, but
so that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Still 4, though. Still very well. Phoebus is chef's kiss.
Oh, love. Yes.
Especially for the kind of character he is. He could have scored very poorly.
Yeah. He broke a lot of barriers, I think, with the knight character.
Yes.
So that was really nice. Wendy, I also put her as a 1 on hasn't changed or learned anything because she kind of learns that she likes her. Yeah. She has to grow up, I guess. Maybe a 2. Maybe that was too low.
I gave her a 3. I gave her average.
That's fair.
Only because she spends the whole beginning of the movie really romanticizing Neverland and wanting to live there and grow up and be there. And she takes her brothers and they go on this magical adventure and she's like, I'm going to live here and this is my life. And then everything about it is like, okay, but maybe I don't. Maybe growing up isn't such a bad thing. Maybe being home with my family. So there were no thoughts of her getting more than a 3, but I gave her an average.
Yeah, I think I might have been too harsh on her for that. She did get a 5 on decisions that affect the story for me. When I broke it down, she's the one who chooses to go to Neverland. Really. She's the one who wakes up for Peter, helps him with the shadow, and then is like, let's go, and then kind of gets the boys on board.
Yeah, she definitely takes them. She takes them. That will actually change my score. Because I had her at a 2.
Yeah, that one was a surprise for me.
Yeah, that was the only decision she made. But that is a big decision. So actually, that will adjust. It still does not make her higher, but that actually boosts her up a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Wowee.
She did get positive parent relationship, but she got woman-to-woman cruelty.
Woman-to-woman cruelty.
She gets treated like crap from the mermaids. Yeah, all the things. And then love interest problematic / toxic.
Peter's toxic.
Yep, 100%.
Which is the point. That's the point of Peter. Like, you can love Peter, but he is supposed to be kind of a toxic
child.
That's like kind of the point of his thing. So
yeah, I think I wanted to give her 1.5, and that's what she got for me. It's like,
she didn't get any 5s for me.
Oh, that was the one. That was the one.
But she got a lot of averages because
she got a lot of 2s for me. But I can see averaging on most of them.
It's still fine. Still, that's just, it's not her story. Once again, it's Peter's story.
It's Peter Pan. But it does help. I'm happy that Esmeralda got to move on, because I was really worried when I started thinking about the fact that she really is a love interest. So I'm really happy that she gets to move on into the Sweet 16, because in round 2, when we discuss heroic personality, she scores a super high.
Yes. So congratulations, Esmeralda. Sorry, Wendy, maybe next time. Okay, moving on. Snow White from Snow White versus Nani from Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
Now this was very interesting to me because Snow White is the main character. She is the title figure. Nani is not. Nani is a very, very big supporting character
Yes.
in this, but she scored significantly better
Same.
than
Same
Snow
for me.
White. Same?
Yeah.
How was yours? How'd yours line up?
So Nani was a 43.
Same.
Nice. We're
Nani
on
was
it.
a 40. Nani was a 44 for me,
Okay.
but she also did over doubles. Yeah,
That's
so 44 for me. You got
And
43.
Snow
oh my
White
gosh,
was 21.
21.
That's amazing.
Same page. Okay.
I love it. But Snow
Wow.
White, she was the first, so she will forever be the queen of, Disney, because she is the first.
She's color
Beginning.
blocked. She's great for toddlers. I know that sounds
Yeah.
really, really silly, but she's great for toddlers. The color blocking on her costume.
Yes.
How cute she is, the way she holds herself. She's only 14.
Mhm.
Like, toddlers will absolutely love to watch a song about washing your hands. But as far as as heroism, that's not really her thing. She is definitely she has no goals that define the narrative arc.
No, everything happens to her.
Doesn't really have any flaws.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Her intelligence.
Yes.
I had to give her a 2 because she ate an apple from a stranger.
I gave her 2. She's able to function. She is able to do daily chores. She's able to do all that stuff. She works at the castle. So, you can't give her a 1. But she's only 14 and like you said, eats from an apple. However, that conversation does pass the Bechdel test.
It does. Yep.
So she passes the Bechdel test. Which is so funny that some of these really old characters pass the Bechdel test and some of these new characters don't. But now Nani, on the other hand, also passed the Bechdel test.
That's very true.
Lots of women.
Yeah.
She got sisterhood.
Yes.
Snow White did not.
Yes.
She did. They both got women to women cruelty.
That's fair.
Which Lilo and Nani are yelling at each other all the time. They're siblings. You're not I'm not upset by it.
Yeah.
But if we're going to look at other things with women to women cruelty, that also does fit in there. It is an understandable cruelty.
Yeah.
Like siblings shall be siblings.
Yeah. It does. It fits that it will get canceled out by the sisterhood thing.
Yes, it does. Exactly.
Yeah. I gave her a 4 for supportive feminist male character. David is
for
Nani.
Yeah, I actually gave her a 5. I thought all of the male characters, no one ever questioned that she was a female.
That's true.
They only questioned her age. They were totally fine with her taking care of Lilo.
Mm-hmm.
None of the men, she worked really hard. So it wasn't just David. It was the Hulu instructor brings her up and goes, man, your sister's working real hard. You can wait here until she's comes. They all were very supportive of Nani and no one questioned her.
Mm-hmm.
The only times that Nani was questioned was because she's so young.
The burning stuff on the stove.
Her sister.
Yeah.
But I thought all the males in there were pretty supportive of her. Even Cobra Bubbles didn't want to take her away. But, when he comes up to the house and Lilo's locked inside,
you see it, from his view, doesn't look great.
That isn't anti-feminist. That's just he's doing his job. So they actually got a 5 for me.
I could see that. She doesn't exist to be a love interest or object. So she got
she does not.
Solid 5 for me on that.
Absolutely not.
Which is very nice.
She also got a 5 for flaws for me because once again, I thought her flaws were incredibly relatable. I thought she was given enough flaws that you understood her struggle and it made her a very real character. It made her very relatable. Her flaws didn't become good, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like her flaws didn't cause her to win anything. Yeah. I don't know.
And she was a very fully developed character, especially because she was a side character. You still knew who she was. And that was really cool, I think. What was the lowest on your rubric for her?
Yeah, so for her stands up for herself, I gave her a 2.
Really?
Yes, only because I think she stands up for Lilo significantly more than she stands up for herself.
That's fair.
She does, I didn't give her lower than a 2 because she does do her best, but everything is for Lilo. It's not for her. She does very little for herself and actually goes out of her way to not do things for herself. Meanwhile, for Snow White, she got 3 1s. And
same,
like we've mentioned now a couple times. I know This is not Snow White's fault. Her goal that defined that narrative arc, she got a 1 for me. Has changed or learned something by the end, she got a 1 for me. You know, it happened to her. It was kind of like that Cinderella.
Yeah.
And then relevance today, I also gave her a 1.
I did too.
Today, right. As a 14-year-old, I think that would not go well. If she was a child, if she was 10 or younger, I think yes. I think they could relate to playing house and doing those kinds of things that she does and is very sweet and like I think that would be very relatable. But because she's 14, I had to give her a 1. I couldn't give her anything more than that.
I don't know a 14-year-old that would learn that much from her.
Nope, like nothing. And she is another one of those characters where I hate when people are like, "Oh, the princess is only just cry." I'm sorry, she's 14 and was almost murdered, and now is running into the forest. And they told her, he's like, "I'm supposed to kill you, but instead run." Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me you would not cry?
Yep, I would be bawling. So I would say most of the throw self on bench or bed moments
are all understandable.
Very justified. And maybe we need to have a whole episode discussing just what those moments mean and go on a rant. But she's so very young, and to be faced with almost murder, it's a lot to deal with.
After being tormented by her terrible stepmother.
Yes.
Like, her family's gone. She's not, it's tough. But
she goes through a lot.
But sorry.
Nani moves on.
Nani did very well for a side character. I think, I haven't looked at my results fully, but I think for a side character that Nani has possibly done the best.
I think that might be true. Yeah.
If not, like one of the top. I was very impressed with her.
We have one more. One more on this left side to fill out the Sweet 16 on the left. We have Moana from Moana and Honey Lemon from Big Hero 6. How did they fare for you?
Ooh, for me, they were actually pretty close.
Oh.
I was kind of surprised. Moana still won. Moana got a 44 for me. And then Honey Lemon got a 37. So she still won by a decent amount. But Honey Lemon, I was surprised. And so the most surprising thing that I had with her is that Honey Lemon didn't pass the Bechdel test. And if she did, she would have done a lot better.
That was surprising.
What did you get?
I had Moana at 45. So we're super close on that one.
Nice.
And I had Honey Lemon. I had Honey Lemon at 26. And I think it's because I gave her a lot of 3s. I think she
got a lot of 3s for me too.
Yeah, I think
2s, 3s.
Yeah, I gave her a couple 1s, and maybe that might be too harsh. It's been a second since I've seen the movie.
She didn't get any 1s for me,
I think Goals That Define the Narrative Arc was definitely for me.
She got a 2.
That's fair.
A 2. Because she's still, I think the whole group outside of Hiro he's the driving force of it. It's his story.
She's definitely a side character.
Right. I think the group of them, I would say, would get at least a point for their motivations behind, we want to help and right this wrong, stand by Tadashi and his goals and his motivations. So that's why 2, still not great.
Yeah.
Because once again, Hito's the driving force, not her. Yeah. Flaws, I gave her 2 as well because she didn't really have any.
Yeah, they didn't. Her and Gogo Tamago's on the other side of the bracket, but they weren't given a chance to really be fully developed. Like they're quick character references, almost like archetypal type of situations, so that
you enjoyed them.
Oh yeah,
you enjoyed them,
but you don't have it's not their story. They're more of the ensemble around the main story. Her intelligence is a 5 for me.
5. If anything, we should give her more.
Right,
like she's plus 10. Yeah. She is a chemist, engineer at times.
Yeah.
She's insane. She's absolutely insane. And I do like something that is not in our character development and storytelling. I like that she breaks stereotypes. She particularly breaks stereotypes. A lot of them do. But she is almost never seen without her platform stiletto heels.
Yeah, I do enjoy that character trait of hers.
Which is great.
Yeah.
She is she's very nerdy, very, very intelligent, and is very, very feminine.
Yeah.
And that is never questioned. And I do appreciate
it. Doesn't hold her back.
It's... No, it doesn't.
That's cool.
If anything, it makes her a driving force sometimes because, which is why she did decent for me. Having the voice and agency and the decisions and those kinds of things, she got average instead of lower because she's the one constantly reverting back to Hiro. Hiro, are you okay? Hiro, what do you think we should do next? We should all work together. Like, she's the one, like, emotionally keeping everybody, like, on the same page.
Yeah, she's great. And I really enjoyed that, the ensemble of that movie a lot. It's a shame that the two, and maybe I think there's an entire series now of them, like a TV series of them. So they might have some more development. But for the first movie, it
to not pass the Bechdel test is embarrassing. When
it's very embarrassing.
That is so frustrating.
Just one moment.
They have right. They have one moment that is not heard where Honey comes over to Gogo and puts her arm around her at the funeral. And you see them have a conversation, but obviously it's about Tadashi.
Tadashi, yeah.
They each have one line directly to each other where Gogo like yells at Honey Lemon, like, get that thing, get it. And Honey's like, I'm trying. And that's it. That is the only sentences they have to each other. And I'm like,
no,
you know,
can't do it.
I pushed it with Wendy, with her mom and her, because they had a couple of sentences. It wasn't long, but a couple.
Yeah, that's a hard stretch. That's
Violet, but this is, that's a lot. So I couldn't catch them.
Yeah.
It was such a bummer.
Yeah. She's great. And she's a really wonderful, fun character. I haven't seen the TV series. I hope she gets a lot more development in that, because I'm sure that there's a lot more in it. Yeah. But yeah, that would put Moana as our Sweet 16. And she scores, I mean, she's one of the newer princesses, so they took a lot more care with her.
Yes.
She gets flaws. I gave her a 5. I think
I gave her flaws. I gave her a 2. What flaws does she have?
For me, it's her naivete. Yeah. But maybe that's not a flaw.
Because I was like, I had this argument actually with Josh.
Yeah, I'm now having it in my head.
I should give her like a good one. Yeah. And that's what Josh asked me. He's like, what are her flaws? I'm like, well, she's really stubborn. And he's like, yeah. And when does that do something negative for her? It never does.
Darn it.
Her being stubborn is why the movie happens. So is that a flaw? No, it's a strength. Yeah. So I'm like, dang it, what are her flaws?
Yeah.
So I gave her a 2 because she doesn't ever have an open communication with her parents. She runs away from them instead of being like, hey, maybe this isn't my jam. You know, she sings that beautiful song, but like doesn't go, but Dad, that didn't sway me. Like, let's have a conversation. Nope. So that's why I gave her the 1 point for the flaw. I gave her a 2.
I feel like I'm going to have to revisit all of these again for Elite 8, just like do a redo. So crazy. Yeah.
A lot of things she scored really high. And she's great. I really like her as a character.
Oh,
but flaws, I'm like, crap. She truly...
None of her flaws have consequences, necessarily.
No, none of them do. Some of these other characters have flaws that have consequences, and Moana does not. But she scored really, really high. She obviously has lots of agency in the story. Her decisions affect everything in the story. She does not exist to be the sole love interest, you know. She has learned a lot by the end of the movie, you know. So she did. It passes the Bechdel test only with her grandmother.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I gave it to her, but I had to think through
that one scene.
Yeah,
so that was tough. But she did, you know, that was the only thing she scored. She scored poorly in flaws and supportive feminist male characters, because it takes the entire damn movie for Maui to see her as worth it.
Yeah, that's
he is constantly belittling her almost the whole time.
Yeah, that one. As much as he's a really interesting character, he actually worked against a lot of the feminist forward story development.
And he was very fun, and he grew a lot during the during the film. He learned a lot. They worked together. They were both very stubborn. They both, you know, it was very fun to see them.
I would argue that Maui changes and learns more than Moana does in that movie.
100%. Absolutely.
That's really unfortunate. When you start thinking about it, it's really unfortunate that I gave her a 3
She's like
for change or learn. Because I don't think she learns information, but as far as like character development, I don't know that she's learned. I think Maui learns to be a better person, but she has a lot of courage. She has a good hero personality. But as far as...
She doesn't change, I don't think. I think it's more of, if you look at the music, because you have this song that comes back over and over again.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm going to lower that. I think I maybe.
Yeah, she learns who she is. Like, she learns herself,
she learns who she is.
Her truth.
So, which I think is great, but has changed. No.
So that's one of that I was really unfortunate for me to like realize when I'm like, I think the person who is actually developed. But she also wasn't as bad of a person to begin with. So he had a long way to go.
No, she's great.
You know?
And that's why it's so powerful at the end when she sings, when she gets to the whole movie, she's saying, how far I'll go.
Yeah.
It's calling me. And then by the end, it's not that. It's her. It's finds herself, which is very important. I think it's a really cool story. But I agree, not a 5.
Yeah. So that was a little, but she barely passes the Bechdel test. I still gave her a 2 for positive parent.
I did too.
They just had bad communication. Like, I feel like they were still there for her. There was still support. It was just
same.
Yeah.
But I did give her a -2 for women to women cruelty because the big bad is a female.
Oh, that's
and
true.
They fight each other.
Yep, that's true. That's very, very true. But she scores really well. And it makes me excited that we get to see her advance through it.
No, I really like Moana.
So that's round 1.
Moana rounds out the end of round 1.
Woo! Round 1, part 1 on the left.
Ooh, so for the left, for the first 8 of our Sweet 16.
The top half of the left bracket, we have Anna and Merida go head to head. We have the 3 fairies and Kita, which is funny because they're both like random kind of side-ish characters who surprise us.
Yeah.
So we have
Belle and Esmeralda coming up to the last 4. Belle and Esmeralda will be going head to head, which is a married character versus side character, but both with very heroic qualities. So I'm very excited for that one. And then finally, rounding up the end is Nani versus Moana, our 2 Pacific Islanders.
I don't know how that happened.
We'll be going head to head, and they both scored very well.
The second 4 is going to be really hard. It's a nail biter.
It's going to be good.
We weren't close enough for any of our Patreon votes to bump us over.
I don't think so.
But I think we're kind of in agreement with us on a lot of them. There's a couple of them that tried to give like Tinkerbell some help, but she...
Saw we.
Yeah, we tried. I wanted her to do so much better. We didn't have like a 1 to 5 for sass because that would have bumped her a little bit.
Oh, Jasmine, Tank.
Yeah, it would have.
Oh my gosh, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But yeah, that's our first 8 for our Sweet 16. Thank you guys for joining us. I love Maiden Madness is going to be fun. It's a fun way to spend March. We're coinciding right along with the March Madness, so we're kind of on the same timeline, which is really fun. And let us know if you think we forgot something on our rubric. That's really important. Let us know if you just completely disagree with us, because as objective as we tried to make it, it's still us trying to figure out what we feel about these characters. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. It's been blast. We don't have our specific rubric out, but we do have the bracket out.
Yes.
So feel free on most of our social media. The bracket is out and you can fill it out. Let us know what you think too. You can post that on any of our social media pages and see how well you fare versus what we think. And obviously a lot of this is a little bit arbitrary. So this does not mean that some characters are so much better than other characters.
Tinkerbell would be like all the way to the final 2 for me. If we were doing a purely like what we love, Tinkerbell would be like so much further along.
We're trying so hard to really make this a heroine-based bracket and rule system and rubric. So we'll see. We'd love to see what you think too.
Yeah.
And the patrons get to vote and add a point to their personal fave, who they think will win. Some of those scores in this early stage were very, very different, but a couple of our scores were only points apart.
Yep.
So those will add up big time as we get into that final 8, final 4. Those will add up real, real quick. So become a patron to cast your vote and have it heard.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for joining us on round 1, part 1. Join us next week for round 2, where we fill out the rest of our Sweet 16.
Heck yeah. See you then.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us for our first round of Maiden Madness. Join us next week to see who on the right half of our bracket makes it to the Sweet 16.
If you enjoyed listening today, we'd love to have you subscribe to this podcast, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and share with friends.
If you really enjoyed our discussion, you can find more behind-the-scenes content, a peek at our research notes, and even entire bonus episodes on Patreon. Each month, we release a full after-hours episode where we discuss the movies we cover in each episode, unfiltered and unrestrained, along with behind-the-scenes extras and notes.
You can reach us on social media. Links to all our platforms can be found in our bio. On those platforms and on our website at damselsanddialogue.podbean.com, you will find brackets and more information about our season finale tournament. Let us know who you think will emerge as our champion.
Until next time, this has been Damsels in Dialogue.
Have a nice day.
This podcast is sponsored by Royal Princess Parties, LLC, and is produced by Hello Out There Audio, part of Hello Out There Productions.